Hi, my name is Stephen Bronk. I've been a professional singer for the last 42 years. And the last 13 years I've been a soloist here at the Deutsche Oper Berlin. And I'm here to talk to you about what I call components of vocal management. Now, if you've been kind enough to follow the last installments that I've made, you will have reached a certain point where you are asking yourself, well, what is it exactly that he is doing in order to get the effect that he is getting, which was, I'll just reiterate here, which was, okay, hold on. Okay, so what am I doing here, all right? And what does this have to do with singing? Now, as I mentioned, this is a technique that I learned from a voice teacher, Herbert Meyer, I worked with for about 2.5 years, and I have to say it completely revolutionized my way of thinking about singing, and it basically gave me the tools that I needed in order to have the success that I've had as a singer. And I want to just go back a little bit to talk about head and chest voice, because this will become an integral part of what Herbert was talking about, what I'm talking about, and I just like to get a few things clear here, okay? So head and chest voice, or head and chest register, registration at all. There are various names for all of these things, and as I said before, you have to remember one thing, that these are metaphors, okay? Your voice doesn't have registers in that sense. There's your head and your chest voice are a combination of two things that are your voice. What happens is, and I'll just go over here is that there are variations in the sound that we make, and because of that, we have physical sensations, okay, and they change in response to what it is we're doing, the adjustments that we're making in the vocal mechanism. And the sound waves that don't make it outside of our body, okay, but there are sound waves that are working inside of our bodies. They are very, very strong. And of course, various bones in your body, in your face, in your head, in your chest, will respond sympathetically to the vibrations of the sound waves that you're making, okay? And neither the chest cavity nor the sinuses are viable resonators. The chest cavity is not a resonator. The sinuses are not a viable resonator for our voices, but when we feel the way the chest or the head responds to what we're doing, then this gives us an idea of where we are. It's something good to feel in order to get a certain amount of feedback for what you're doing, okay? Now, vocal tract, okay, we talked about this, I think it was in the 5th installment. The vocal tract, which means from your lips back to the soft palate and down to the larynx. That is the whole vocal tract. That is our resonator, okay? And it can change its shape. And because of that, there are different sounds that we can make. The different vowel sounds, but we have to always remember that a resonator is something that does not itself make a sound. What is making sound, okay, are the vocal cords. It is, of course, it's the air that passes through or that is compressed, and this is what makes the sound. The vocal tract is the resonator for that, okay? And depending on the shape that it's forming, it can boost the pitch that you are singing in with the larynx, okay, with the vocal cords. So the larynx should neither be too high or too low. It should be in a stable position, okay? And there are two things that are very important to remember also. One of them is that if the vocal cords come together quickly, there will be an increase in the energy of the harmonics that they produce, okay? And the other part is that the more harmonics a sound has will depend on the amount of the muscle mass of the vocal cords or folds that are involved, that are in contact with each other. Okay? So, when I do this exercise, which is not only an exercise for me, but a singing technique, but you can look at it as an exercise if you like, okay? What I'm doing is, I take a pitch, which means I need to stretch the vocal cords, okay? There are muscle groups, there are various muscle groups in the larynx that have these effects on the vocal cords. There are those that stretch the muscles stretch, and that changes the pitch of what the vocal folds are doing, all right? There are other muscles that they thicken the vocal cords or the vocal folds, okay? And that activates a larger amount of the vocal folds that are being used at this time. Now, as I said, you get more harmonics in a sound, the more muscle mass is being used, okay? And so the idea behind this fantastic technique is that you always have a balance between, I will call them head and chest voice, okay? But that there's always a balance between the two of them. And if you take a look at the diagram that I made for you last time, you'll see that as you go from lower notes to higher notes, the ratio is not 50-50 to chest and head voice. It changes all the time. And it depends on where exactly you are, you know, here, or here, or here, or here, or here, okay? It depends. And that much more head voice will be used. Of course, the higher you go, and more chest, the lower you go. At That's the physics of the human voice. There's nothing you can do about that. It's just the way it works. So you can imagine if you're traveling along that line that connects both the head and the chest voice with each other, and you try to follow that line all the way through your voice, then you are getting exactly what you need from the balance of chest and head voice. Now, in order to get that, it's not enough to just get the pitch. See, if you say, okay, that's fine, you know. But if you want to get, let's just say, the lowest common denominator for the balance between the stretching muscles and the thickening muscles, what you want to do is you want to pull back the volume and let this fry kick in. Now, the vocal fry, there are a lot of things to say about it. In itself, the vocal fry is not harmful to the voice. If overly used, of course, such as any other, let's just say register in this case, it can be harmful, of course. It's like, you know, people who used to, who had the problem of knocking their, the cartilages back by saying, using that too much, you know, and that of course, that's going to harm your voice. But what we're looking for here is not a fry that is made with pressure, but rather the compression, okay? And it's the lowest common denominator between these two components, which are the head and chest voice. So I say, and then I look for that by taking the volume back. Now each time I change the pitch, of course, I'm using the stretching muscles, but by combining it together with this fry, I'm also using the thickening muscles, and they're always working together, okay? There's no exchange, the kind of thing that would happen if I went, you know, the Tarzan call, and basically what happens when the voice breaks, yeah? So the idea is to travel, to use this combination, okay, get this balance, get it down, and use it to travel throughout your voice. Fine. Then what? All right. The idea, and basically what Herbert taught me, was that once you have figured out how to travel throughout your voice by combining both the head and the chest voice, by giving them the equilibrium that they need, okay, then what you basically do is you go and you add volume. Where do you go to add volume? This is a very, very interesting question, because what is it exactly that gives us the volume? We only have the vocal tract as a resonator, and what we're looking for in order to get volume is that the harmonics that we're producing, the pitch that we're producing, is being used by the vocal tract in order to augment it, okay? And the thing about this exercise is that there are so many benefits to this. I'll just name a couple of them. Okay, first of all, you need to breathe correctly. You need to be able to take a deep breath. You need to be able to breathe and form a yawn. Okay, that's the vocal tract part. But then the larynx also drops and stays down without any pressure, okay? And by beginning to phonate, okay, and then looking for this combination, what happens is you begin to support the equilibrium that you have created. So you've created the equilibrium. You can go on and on and on. So what you're basically doing is you're exercising your body at the same time, and your diaphragm is learning how to maintain a certain sound without pushing at it, just to keep it going. And you'll find, let's just say if you were doing this exercise, you will find that at a certain point you get a little tired, your muscles sort of react like, oh, I can't do this anymore. But it's not because of lack of air. It's just because it's a different way that your muscles are working together. It helps you to get rid of phlegm that is stuck in your, in your bronchial tubes or whatever, such as in my case at the moment. It gives you a much finer tool as far as the ear is concerned. Because what you're also creating you are finding a lot of the harmonics that work both here and here. And the more harmonics you have, of course, the more energy will be in your sound and the more muscle mass you are using at the same time. And this is what we want. This is a quality of sound that is very, very different than, just shouting out something or something like that. So you have this etc. Okay? And what we do with it is, as I said before, we look for volume. So next time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a little more about that, okay? How you can integrate this into your singing, and why you should not do this without a trained professional who can hear what you're doing and see what you're doing. Very, very important. There are lots of ways this could go wrong, okay? And it's really, really important to have somebody who knows what to listen for, okay? So again, as always, I look forward to your suggestions, I look forward to your comments, and most of all to your questions, which I think maybe in the next installment I can give you a little Q&A, a couple of answers to some questions that have come up. Okay? I'm Stephen Bronk, and whatever your musical genre is, I'd like to help.